You cleaned up nice, had the suit, the chain, the drip. Everyone said you'd go early, but the names keep coming, and yours never does. ESPN cameras still rolling. You're watching one dude after another dap up a goodle like it's a family reunion. The room's getting smaller. Welcome to Draft Day Purgatory. These are the wildest NFL Draft Day drops and the stories behind them.
The Miami Dolphins select Laremy Tunsil.
Laremy Tunsil was supposed to go top 3, locked in. Franchise left tackle material. Dude was built like a blindside bodyguard and moved like a tight end. Scouts were drooling. But then, the gas mask. Minutes before the draft kicked off, Tunsil's Twitter account drops a video of him mid-hit, masked up, and vibing with the bong. Instant chaos. Phones lit up, front offices panicked, PR teams hit DEFCON 1. And just like that, teams started ghosting him like a bad Tinder date. He fell all the way to pick 13, where the Dolphins, bless them, finally made the call. Most guys would have folded, but not Tunsil. He locked in, cleaned up the noise, and turned into one of the league's best offensive linemen. Now he's stacked millions, rocking drip on the sidelines, and the gas mask video? Legendary. Not ideal, but legendary. Still, one of the weirdest, wildest draft slides ever.
The Cleveland Browns select Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, college football's rock star. Dude was doing Heisman poses, flexing rings, grabbing his crotch on national television, and running circles around SEC defenses like it was recess. He had the swagger, the nickname, the highlights, and every sports talk show had him going top 10. But behind the flash, teams saw smoke. Attitude questions, off-field antics, whispers of immaturity. Front offices were torn. Future face of the franchise, or a walking TMZ alert. Pick after pick, Johnny watched the board light up without him. Even Jerry Jones passed, and he lives for drama. Finally, at pick 22, the Cleveland Browns took the bait. Cameras cut to Johnny giving the double money sign. Iconic. But the NFL ain't College Station. The playbook was thicker, the windows were tighter, the parties hit harder than the linebackers. Johnny flamed out fast. One win, one rehab stint, and 1,000 headlines later, he was gone. Still, his slide? Pure entertainment, primetime chaos. A cautionary tale with a punchline.
The Tennessee Titans select Will Levis.
Will Levis showed up to the draft ready to go top 10. Hair slicked, suit tailored, biceps doing more flexing than his agent. The hype was loud. Some mocks had him going as high as number 2. The Colts were interested. The Raiders sniffed around. Even the media ran the clip of him putting mayo in his coffee like it was some alpha move. Then the picks started rolling, and Will, still sitting, still waiting. The green room went from spotlight to straight-up isolation chamber. Dude was just there, iced out in a navy suit, hugging his mom between rounds. He slid all the way out of the first round. On national TV in real time, with Twitter doing play-by-play like it was a Netflix drama. Round 2, pick 33. The Tennessee Titans finally made the call. And credit to him, Levis showed up, suited up, and eventually started some games. The jury's still out, but that slide? Instant draft folklore. Proof that mock drafts are just vibes, and the green room ain't for the weak.
The Seattle Seahawks select DK Metcalf, wide receiver, Ole Miss.
DK Metcalf looked like he was built in a Madden Create-a-Player lab. 6'3", shredded like a comic book villain, and ran a 4.33 at the combine. Scouts were drooling. Fans were hyped. Dude had future WR1 written all over him, literally on his chest and veins. But then the football guys spoke up. He can't run a full route tree. Too stiff in his hips. Looks more like a bodybuilder than a receiver. One by one, teams passed, and passed, and passed. Pick after pick, DK just sat there, yoked out in a tight suit, probably wondering how a dude who runs a 4.33 was suddenly too slow to adjust. He slid all the way to pick 64 late in the second round, where Seattle finally scooped them up. And of course, they handed him to Russell Wilson and said, "Go deep." Since then, he's been trucking DBs, torching corners, and chasing down Budda Baker like he was late for a flight. Turns out, root trees are optional when you run like a cheetah and bench press safeties for fun.
The New York Jets select Geno Smith.
Geno Smith was supposed to be that dude. Big arm, mobile, fresh off torching defenses at West Virginia. Most analysts had him as the first QB off the board, maybe even top 10. So Geno rolled into draft night feeling like a franchise QB. But as picks came and went, so did the offers. No phone call, no dap from Goodell, just awkward glances and cameras catching every forced smile. Day one ended. Geno never got picked. He dipped, straight up left the green room. Draft day part 2 was not in the original plan, but he showed back up. Round 2, pick 39, the New York Jets finally took him. And as tradition goes, they did what the Jets do. Handed him a messy situation, no O-line, and sky-high expectations. Geno flamed out early. Journeyman, backup, punchline. Most people wrote him off. Until 2022. Nearly a decade later, he took over in Seattle and cooked. Pro Bowl, comeback player of the year, and a fat contract to go with it. And just when the redemption arc felt complete, on March 13, 2025, Seattle traded Geno to the Raiders for a third-round pick. No contract extension, no guarantees. Just a new city and 1 year to prove he still got it. Geno slid, but he didn't sink. He just took the long route, and somehow, he still survived.
Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers select first choice on the first round. Running back from Auburn, Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson didn't slide, he swerved. Tampa Bay had the #1 overall pick and a dream. Draft Bo. Build around him. Watch greatness unfold. But Bo wasn't having it. He told them flat out, "Don't draft me. I won't play for you." The Bucs didn't listen. They called his bluff, and Bo, he dipped. Straight to baseball. Signed with Kansas City Royals and left Tampa holding nothing but regret and a useless draft pick. A year later, the Raiders rolled the dice. 7th round, just in case. And what do you know? Bo came back, suited up in silver and black like it was destiny. And for a few glorious years, he was a two-sport myth, breaking bats in MLB, breaking tackles in the NFL, and breaking brains in Tecmo Bowl. Bo Jackson wasn't just a draft slide. He was a walking, "Nah, I'm good," the greatest draft curveball of all time.
The Minnesota Vikings have selected wide receiver from Marshall University, Randy Moss.
Randy Moss was a top 5 talent with bottomless red flags. Blazing speed, ridiculous hands, highlight tape that looked like a cheat code. But off the field, legal issues, transfers, character concerns, the phrase that makes GMs sweat through their suits. The Dallas Cowboys promised they'd take him if he was still on the board. They didn't. A whole bunch of teams didn't. Moss slid all the way to pick 21, where the Minnesota Vikings said, "Yeah, we're good with touchdowns." He made every team that passed on him pay. Literally kept receipts. That rookie year, 17 touchdowns. 3 of them on Thanksgiving Day against Dallas. Call it petty, call it poetic. Randy called it straight cash, homie. The league couldn't cover him, the media couldn't ignore him, and defensive coordinators, they just prayed. Moss didn't just torch secondaries. He torched draft boards, egos, and every narrative about what a risky pick looks like.
Has finally rung in Stillwater, Oklahoma for running back Thurman Thomas of Oklahoma State.
Thurman Thomas had first-round talent, but on draft day, teams got cold feet over one thing, a knee brace. That's it. Dude was the engine behind Oklahoma State's offense. Explosive, slippery, and built like a walking screen pass. But rumors about a bum knee had front offices shook. So pick after pick, Thurman waited. No calls, no dap from Goodell, just vibes and disappointment. The Buffalo Bills finally took him at pick 40. And what did he do? He became the centerpiece of one of the greatest NFL dynasties that never quite finished the job. MVP, Hall of Famer, 4 straight Super Bowl appearances. And that one helmetless moment on the sideline? Iconic. Confused? Yes, but iconic. Thurman Thomas didn't just prove people wrong, he made them wonder how they ever doubted him in the first place.
In the 2005 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Aaron Rodgers, quarterback to California.
Aaron Rodgers thought he might go number 1 overall. Hometown kid, Cal quarterback, cannon arm, cool under pressure. The 49ers had the top pick. And Rodgers straight up told them, "I think I'm the best player in this draft." San Francisco responded with, "We're taking Alex Smith." And that's when the slide began. Rodgers sat and sat and sat. Every pick, the camera cut to him in the green room. Tight-lipped, barely blinking, rocking that "I will destroy you" face. 23 teams passed. Pick 24, Green Bay finally pulled the trigger. Problem was, they still had Brett Favre. So Rodgers didn't just have to wait on draft day, he had to wait years behind a living legend. But when the spotlight finally hit him, he made it count. Super Bowl champ, multiple MVPs, and enough cold shoulder interviews to ice out half the league. Rodgers didn't just remember the slide, he let it simmer. And when the time came, he turned it into a legacy.
The Baltimore Ravens select Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson did everything at Louisville. Heisman winner, dual threat nightmare. He made defenders look like extras in a blooper reel. But come draft season, the narratives got ugly. He should switch to wide receiver. His mechanics are raw. Not an NFL-style quarterback. Translation? Teams were shook. Lamar waited, pick after pick. 5 quarterbacks went ahead of him. 5. Then finally, at pick 32, the Ravens traded back into the first round to snag him. And Lamar? He just smiled and said,
"They're gonna get a Super Bowl out of me."
Didn't happen. Yet. But they did get an MVP, a human highlight machine, a QB1 who made defensive coordinators lose sleep and linebackers lose ankles. Lamar didn't beg for validation. He took it. And every Sunday since, he's been reminding the league what happens when you let a star fall that far.
The Dolphins select quarterback Dan Marino of Pittsburgh.
The 1983 NFL Draft wasn't just stacked, it was legendary. 6 quarterbacks went in the first round. John Elway, Jim Kelly, Todd Blackledge, names that shaped a generation. And Dan Marino, he was supposed to be there, top 5, easy. Big arm, quick release, prototype passer. But then the whispers started. Inconsistent senior year, rumors of off-field concerns. Some teams thought he peaked too early. So one by one, they passed. 6 quarterbacks came off the board, including guys like Tony Eason and Ken O'Brien. And Marino, still waiting. At pick 27, the Miami Dolphins finally said, "Yeah, we'll take that cannon." And what followed was a masterclass in passing. Rookie of the Year, MVP in year 2, 5,000 yards before it was cool, the quickest release the league had ever seen. But a Super Bowl never happened. Part of that, the Dolphins couldn't get past Thurman Thomas and the Buffalo Bills, led by none other than Jim Kelly, Marino's fellow 83 draft mate. In the greatest draft class of all time, Dan Marino had the greatest slide. And then he made the league spend the next decade regretting it. Draft day giveth, and draft day humbles. Some guys fall, some rise, but the stories, unforgettable. So now it's your turn. Which draft day slide do you still remember like it was yesterday? Drop your pick in the comments and let us know if we left someone stuck in the green room. Someone always gets left behind.